Good morning, everyone. This is Tim Wilmot speaking from Wizard Systems, and I also have my colleague Peter Johnson on our call today. Thanks for joining me for our GoldMine 101 session, our regular series of GoldMine presentations. And this morning I'm going to focus on a reporting tool from Microsoft called Power BI. Now, Power BI is a cloud-based reporting tool allowing you to create really professional looking dashboards and interactive reports from your GoldMine system. Well, in fact, any data source, anything that's got data, you could use Power BI with. It doesn't have to be GoldMine. And Power BI is free. We'll be showing you the free version this morning. Now, of course, there are existing reporting tools out there for GoldMine. Of course, there's the built-in GoldMine report writer that I'm sure some of you have used before. There's Crystal Reports, there's Mastermine, an Excel-based reporting solution built specifically for GoldMine, and GoldMine dashboards themselves. We're just giving you an alternate solution here today to allow you to just to whet your appetite to see an alternate solution there. Now, this presentation will be approximately 20 minutes or so. This is just an overview of Power BI. It's not meant to be in-depth training. I will be also announcing a special offer on some training on this solution if you'd like to consider it further. So my company, Wizard Systems, offer many extensive training options around GoldMine should you need them. Now, on the call today, and there's 44 people on the call today. I know we're all using pretty much different versions of GoldMine. What we're going to be showing you relates to the latest version of GoldMine, but it could be used with any releases, any recent releases of the GoldMine solution. Now, as you joined our session, you would have been informed that the audio part of this presentation is one way only. If you've got any questions, any interesting questions around this topic, or indeed anything to do with GoldMine, please type those into the question box on your meeting control panel, and we'll do our best to answer those towards the end of the session. It's probably best to type those in as you think of them rather than wait to the very end of the session. Also, I'll be giving you an update on any GoldMine product news towards the end. The call is being recorded as well, by the way. So after the session, you should get an automatic email from our system, normally within a day or two, with a link to the recording, so you can listen back to it at your leisure, and we'll most likely pop it up on our YouTube channel as well. Okay, so let's get started. As I normally do on our weekly sessions, just give you a brief introduction into Wizard Systems. Those of you, there are a few people on the call that haven't dealt with us before. So we are a long-standing GoldMine supplier. We are CRM specialists. All we do is CRM. And we've got a number of solutions built around GoldMine. We also support well over a dozen popular add-ons to GoldMine. And in fact, Power BI is not a core part of GoldMine. It could be considered as an add-on to the GoldMine solution to extend its reporting capabilities. Now, GoldMine is really easy to use, to set up, but we're here on hand to assist you in any step of the way or any additional services that you might need, assisting you with GoldMine upgrades, customizing GoldMine more, reporting, what we're talking about today, training. We offer training at your premises. We can come to you wherever you are in the UK or further afield. We also have a training centre. We're based just north of Bristol. We have a nice training facility here if you want to come off-site. And also we can do training online as well. Plus, finally, ongoing support. We've got a friendly, responsive help desk service here to answer all of your GoldMine questions. Okay, so as I mentioned, I've got my colleague Peter Johnson eagerly awaiting on the call today. Let me just hand over to Peter now.
Hi Tim, hi to everybody, good morning. Hopefully I'm going to get you on my screen. So good morning to everybody. Tim, you can see my screen okay, which means everybody can, I guess.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, great. So I've gone straight into the Power BI desktop. This is an installed option for the reporting tool, which you can design and create reports locally and then upload them onto the online service that Tim mentioned that they provide. And again, free of charge. I think there's a, perhaps Tim can give some details about this, but they do an online amount of storage space, I think it's a gigabyte, but you can go extra if you need it. So when you start up the application, you get a welcome type screen, and I guess the first thing here is to go and get the data. Now I've prepared some data in the background. I'm going to point to some sample GoldMine data I have. So I've just clicked a get data option, which will pop a screen, he said, hopefully. Here we go. So this is the get data screen. Now there's a whole host of different data types here that we can choose from. The one that I need is an ODBC one, which is down here somewhere. And I'm going to connect to my ODBC data source, which is a Windows tool. And Tim mentioned about versions there. You can see here, so some of you on the really old GoldMine system could be reporting on DBase files, which is quite interesting. So if we go down to my sample one, just going to connect, point to some data, and then start reporting on it. So as I'm connecting, I've got a number of different databases I can connect to on that ODBC, and here I've got the database tables that I'm going to report on. Now, many of you that have already been reporting on GoldMine before will maybe understand and recognize these database tables, but we're going directly to the database backend. So it's not going through GoldMine, it's going direct to the data, and we can cover this in training, and there's plenty of documentation around that tells you what these tables are and where the information is stored. So I'm picking two tables here. In fact, if I go to, I'm going to go to history. So I'm going to report on sales, sales done, completed sales. Now, once you've connected to the data, it goes off, builds a data model for you so that you can report on it. It only takes a few seconds to upload that. Of course, that would depend on the size of your database. We're picking on history here, which is a very large database in GoldMine generally, if you've had it for many years. But you're faced, once it's connected, with this palette and desktop view. So this work area in the middle is where your report will exist. And over on the right-hand side, we've got the tools and a palette of types of components that you want in the report. And if I go straight over to the data section here, you can see I can expand these tables and then select, just by clicking these, I can go and select particular columns that I want on a report. And you can see already it started off a table type view of information on the report itself. So if I just select here, company contact, perhaps phone number, and maybe let's have some locations of customers, city, and yeah, let's do that. So over here you can see I've created this little kind of palette of information, a table, which I might add some more columns to. Now I clicked those, it's just as easy to bring across details by just dragging them onto these areas, and you can see it creates a particular detail on that report. And I can actually look at this in different ways as well. You can actually select different parts or different visualizations of reports. So I said this is going to be a sales report, so a nice pie chart might be quite useful to have on the screen. So I'm going to extend this, and then I want to choose the data that I want on the screen itself. Now I do only want to show sales. Now in history, there's all sorts of information, activities, and that. And I'm just going to make sure we're only looking at sales. So over on the left-hand side, if I click on the report itself, I've got some report level filtering. So in this report, I'm only showing certain details. So I'm going to drag at a report level filter the field that I want to filter by, and for those that know or have used this before, you can see that I'm just going to only show sales by a particular field. And then I'm going to go off and drag some information into this pie charts palette. And again, you can see this area here where I can actually populate the pie chart in the way that I want to. So in the values area here, I'm going to drag the sales value, which is this field here, and then I'm going to create a legend. So I'm going to split this pie chart by perhaps user. So whose sales are they? And you can see in here it's visualizing this straight away, really quick, easy to do. Now these palettes I can customize as well. This one's called number 1 by user ID, which is not very intuitive, but if I click on this little tool, I can actually change different parts. Here's the title, so I could call this sales by user, and you can see it's instantly changing the area here. And I have some other controls. I could change the colors and different bits of information that I want. I could even include perhaps a map, a location map. So up here in this palette, I'm going to choose this option here, which is a map, and place a map down here. And again, the palette that I've got here is to be able to drag fields into this. So the location, I'm going to modify and split by city. So I'm going to pop that into location, and maybe in the values area I want this to be split again by the sales value. So you can see me flicking between these tables down here. So I'm going to go to values, and I'm going to put that sales value field that I know where that data is stored in this sales value. So you can see in here, if I zoom into this map, I get this bubble effect. So I can see all of the sales in a particular area, and if I click on any of these, you can see it populates and shows the detail that relates to that amount of information. So if I click on a particular area, so I put city in there, and we can see Maidenhead. So here's my Maidenhead sales. In fact, probably I'd need the sales value in here. So if I pop up to this number 1, here we go. So it's because it's the same value, of course, for each of the things. So if I click on a particular area of the pie chart, you can see again it customizes it just to show those values that I'm clicking on. So here's Sally's sales, and so on. So as you click through this, you can see it populates all of the information on your report here in these different palettes. Really easy to customize. And if I just perhaps add a heading as well, so on the palette up here, you can see I could add a text box. Let's up this a little bit size-wise, and we'll call this Sales History Report. So I've done a fair bit of customization really swiftly with this particular report, and you can see there, yes, I know where the fields are and what they're called, and I guess that's where some of the training would come in. Or if you're already doing this in a tool like Crystal or the dashboard even in GoldMine, you'll be reasonably familiar where the data is and what these are, and it's very easy to populate information into each area. What I did there with that particular field, maybe if I just click on the on date, no, okay, doesn't like the on date. Perhaps something to have a look at. Oh, I know exactly why. In the database I haven't created a relationship, so I need to do so. Joining tables together, I failed there right at the very off, and I can create a new relationship, which would be contact 1 to contact history, and it normally gets this right for you. I choose OK. Much more successful report, sorry about that term. And There we go. So much neater now. So if I go into my map, yes, we've got a much more detailed bit of information on the map here. So if I click my London location, you can see the reporting then is affected by the selection that I've made. If I click on chain, here we go, and if I pop that on date again into this area, it should, yeah, there we go, it's broken it down and shown it in a bit more detail. How remiss of me to not create the join between the databases. I put multiple tables in this report. Okay, so nice, quick and easy, nice, quick, quite attractive report, I think you'll agree. Very easy to manipulate, and if you want to change the visualizations, really quick and easy. On my pie chart here, I've selected this. You can see I could perhaps add a donut instead, or maybe a bar chart of some sort. Very easy to quickly change, customize, and reflect the details that you have in your GoldMine system on some sort of documents that you may present as a web page. You can see here this public and share option, so you can give people a URL to see this, and then whenever the data changes here on your desktop, you can just click refresh. It goes off, gets the latest data, and updates it with the latest information. So quick and easy. Hopefully that's enough of that to see, Tim. I know that you wanted me to go through that reasonably swiftly and show how easy it is.
No, that's great, Peter. I mean, what we're trying to do, just to repeat, is just to briefly show you an alternate reporting solution. It is free. There is a chargeable version called Power BI Pro, which I think is about £6.20 per month, so it's not very much, but it gives you extra storage, basically, and a few other extra bells and whistles. But what we've been showing this morning is the free version, and you can see quickly we can create a nice professional looking report. So we're at that time in the session when we're open to any of your interesting questions, please. So please locate your questions section on your meeting control panel. I'll do my best to we'll do our best to answer those as we can. So first question from Pat: How do we know which fields to use from the data source?
Okay, I can come into that, Tim. In terms of the data fields, they're very well documented throughout the GoldMine documentation, and certainly something that I guess the use of the reporting tool is really easy. The bit that you need to learn and understand, and Tim, you've mentioned training there, is the data tables, where they are, how they're joined, and so on. Very easy. We break it down really easy in training, and we do some really good examples. And the table structure is pretty straightforward in GoldMine. I've seen a lot of other databases, and they take a while to get your head around. But certainly training, documentation, and I guess that's where that information exists.
But also using a reporting tool, it sometimes exposes the structure of the system that you're reporting on, as we saw with GoldMine. There's lots of these funny little table names, and we obviously in the report we had to, because we were plucking information from different areas, we had to be diligent of the relationship between these essentially these separate tables yet linked together, and Power BI can kind of suss that out. It knows what those relationships are, and it can then show you. It does show you those little components. As when we're looking at an application, it can sometimes be a jigsaw puzzle of different tables or elements or entities. And we can see with the reporting tool, we can see what they're called, and it knows the relationship between them, so it can make the process quite easy to report on some system that you may not be too familiar with. Thanks very much, Pat. Next question from Richard. What would you say are the advantages, disadvantages compared to Crystal Reports? Crystal Reports, for everyone, is the traditional reporting tool for very sophisticated, rich-looking reports from GoldMine. It used to be shipped with GoldMine. It's still the tool that GoldMine supports for more mission critical reporting, shall I say. Lots more options compared to the built-in report writer. But Pete, what would you say are the initial advantages, disadvantages of Power BI compared to Crystal reports?
I guess some couple of obvious ones there. One is the price. Um, Certainly what I've shown you here is the free version as opposed to a relatively uh, uh, moderately priced Crystal Reports, which is a best-of-breed reporting tool. But from what I've seen of Microsoft BI, it's chasing the tail of Crystal Reports, certainly on the back of Microsoft's facility of SQL reporting services, which is pretty much what this is doing in the background, but very much an Excel type front end, so a little bit easier to edit in BI as opposed to Crystal. But then once you know Crystal, it's very easy as well. And I guess the other benefit of one of the advantages of the BI product is that online bit. I know that they do some enterprise versions of Crystal which can get very expensive to be able to host reports for users externally and so on. So it might be a useful way of doing that at a low cost. But certainly chasing the tails of Crystal, a best-of-breed reporting tool, fully functional, everything that you ever need. And yes, this is a moderately shorter type product, but easier to use, I would suggest, in terms of getting it straight out of the box and using it with very little knowledge. And as we said on that last comment, that the data structure is the bit that you need to know, the use of the tool is fairly easy. So hopefully that covers that off, Tim.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, so of course, Power BI is cloud, so may be available to you on multiple devices. Crystal may have the advantage in some of its formula and expressions, perhaps. It's got a lot of pedigree to it. So I think it does depend on, at the end of the day, what reporting you want to do, how you go access those reports, what's your level of knowledge, the complexity of the reports, where you're going to access them from, your budget. There may be a number of other factors that you need to look at in deciding the right reporting tool for your GoldMine system. Next question from Lynette. Is it possible to import data from Sage?
I'll pick that one up, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the data, the get data bit that I showed earlier, when you're in that area, there's lots and lots of different data types that you can select from. So normally with Sage, we would create an ODBC data source, and they supply that as well. So it's an installer within your Sage product, creates an ODBC data source, which allows you to report on it. And of course, because Microsoft BI, Power BI is not a GoldMine tool, it can report on pretty much any database. So you could have some GoldMine data on the screen as well as Sage data to show on those. And when you go the online service, you can create a dashboard and pull different components off of different reports. But just looking through the get data source, there's some useful social media ones, Facebook stats, information from MailChimp, for example, which has a tie-in to GoldMine, constant contact, lots of different tools that you can, they've already built so it understands when you connect what that data source is. So Sage is just one of the hundreds, I would suggest, that's available to you.
Okay, next question. Thanks, Lynette, for that question. Next question from Richard. The GoldMine dashboard does some very complicated charts and tables showing lots of information. It is very complicated though, exclamation mark. Can this do everything the dashboard, the GoldMine dashboards can do, but more simply?
Yes, I would say so. Yes, certainly in terms of the visuals, yes, absolutely. You've seen already what we've presented on the screen in my demonstration there. You could potentially do with the dashboard, but you do have to jump through some hoops. You have to have a bit of SQL knowledge. I would say the biggest difference between what you're looking at today and the dashboard is this is a report or dashboard that sits outside of GoldMine. So it's not interactive in terms of in the dashboard you can hyperlink fields. So if you were doing a sales report and want to click on a salesperson, you can go straight to his sale within the product. You'd have to design the report to drill down, show extra tabs and stuff in BI. Yes, somewhat easier, but I would say that even with the dashboard, once you know the data structure, and I've got many people gone through the training in terms of the Crystal Reports training that we've done in the past, and they go away and very successfully build dashboards because they have a knowledge of the database and a little bit of knowledge about SQL, which is not tough if you just have that little bit of knowledge. It's one of those areas where a little bit of knowledge is good, and that's the data structures. Okay, Tim.
Okay,
Thanks, Richard.
Next question from Richard. What is the difference between the free and the pro version, and do you need to put this in for us? Well, if you go to the Microsoft website or just Google Microsoft Power BI and go to their pricing page, you will see a comparison between Power BI and Power BI Pro. Pro is the paid version, which, as I say, is I think it's 9.99 US or something like that, or £6.20 UK pound sterling. As regards our involvement in implementing this solution, Peter, what would you say? Is there anything to install?
Yeah, I mean, if you want the desktop bit that you've seen, it's a download, a click, and I've got to say, when I did it, wow, it's already installed. Really, nothing at all. And there's a Windows for it. There's the online service, which is already built there. You just sign up and sign in. So in terms of setting it up, Tim and Richard, there's really no help that I don't think we need to give you in terms of setting it up. But I would, suggest that if you want to look at the GoldMine data in a bit of with a bit of knowledge, then some training is what you need rather than say help to set it up. But of course, if there's a particular report that you want us to generate and create for you, we can do that for you if you didn't want to spend the time and do it yourself.
Okay, Richard, so obviously when you want a report to be written for you, want a little bit of instruction, that's specifically where we come in. It's very straightforward for you to access this solution. Next question from Chris. Is there a way to present these reports in real time, so I guess automatically refreshing, I guess, as a scoreboard for sales teams?
I would say with that, Chris, is the potential there is they haven't built a refresh engine on this on the online bit, so you have to keep refreshing on it. However, I've seen some forums and things asking those questions, and I think there's something there ready. But SQL Reporting Services does this for you as well. What this is replicating is the type of tools that you get in the reporting services in SQL, and then you can create those scoreboards. So a little bit more technical, or the enterprise version of Crystal will do that as well. But certainly not that I've seen here yet. But I think it's still in its early stages.
Unless it's a feature maybe of the Pro version, I don't know. But yes, so maybe that's not available in this particular reporting solution right now, Chris. So next question from Matt. I may have missed the answer to this, logged in at 10:02, but from where is the software found? Presumably a download. but is it from your website or a ... question mark? Where do you get it from, please, Pete?
Yeah, just from the Microsoft. Just go into the Microsoft website, Power BI, and the downloads there ready to have. Really straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question from Chris. Can the BI reports be exported as .pdf format?
Interesting. I'm not sure, but I can, whilst you're getting those other questions, I'll have a look, because I know you can
Okay,
print
we'll
them.
come back to that, Chris. So next question from Joe. Will it also connect to IntelliClick? IntelliClick is the email marketing platform developed specifically for GoldMine. Well, the answer to that, Joe, is because all of the email marketing responses are recorded in the GoldMine database, the answer to your question is yes, they are. Everything that IntelliClick does is in the GoldMine system as regards customers that opened an email, customers that were sent an email, that opened an email, that clicked on a link, bounce backs, unsubscribes. It's all in the GoldMine database somewhere. So yes, Joe, Power BI could be used as an alternate IntelliClick reporting tool. Next question from, you okay, Pete?
I'm just coming on the previous one, yeah.
PDF.
I can't see even on the online bit, I can't see a save as the PDF. However, obviously you can set up a printer to be a PDF writer. So instead of going print and printing out of a printer, you can print to a file. So that's normally the way that I would suggest that it's done. Okay.
Okay, thanks for that answer. And next question from Richard. Are you able to save multiple reports, charts?
Yes, absolutely, because you can create many reports, many charts. When you go onto the online section, you can create a dashboard and you can pull the components that you put on each report, you can pull them into one dashboard or multiple dashboards, have multiple tabs like you do in Excel along the bottom. Yeah, full flexibility in that.
And there was a question from Boyd asking about reporting from Sage, but that was Lynette's same question there. So Boyd, that was the answer to your question. So yes, to be able to report on, say, Sage 50, no problem at all. Right, I don't think there's any more questions coming through, Pete, so it just remains for me, as I normally do, just to give you an update on the GoldMine scene, GoldMine roadmap. Of course, we had our regular hotfix out last week. More information of that is on our GoldMine blog. So that for those of you that aren't aware of the GoldMine blog, there it is there. Useful resource of lots of hints and tips and latest product information as well. Now we are going to be running a Power BI training course specifically focusing on GoldMine as the source of the data that we're reporting on. This will be a full day's course, and we're going to be running this, pricing this at half our normal cost. So it's a half price training course at our Bristol offices. So if you fancy a day out near Bristol on May the 11th, a course to cover all of the aspects of Power BI, and in conjunction with GoldMine, we'll be going through many different reporting techniques, giving you more information about the structure of GoldMine, where is the information, what's it called, how can you report on it. So a very productive day, and the price of that will be £125 per delegate for the full day, which includes all the refreshments. We look after you through the day. So please contact any of us here at Wizard Systems if you'd like more information on that course. Half price Power BI training course, £125 per delegate on May the 11th. As always, if you've got any suggestions on future topics, if they are relevant to maybe lots of other GoldMine users, putting aside the GoldMine version, something that would just take us maybe 5-10 minutes to cover, just to whet people's appetite. I very much welcome any future suggestions. But thanks very much for your time this morning. Please keep in touch. Thanks very much for your support and your time this morning. My name again is Tim Wilmot. Also on the call was Peter Johnson. There's our contact details. But thanks very much for attending, and watch out for the little email with the link to the recording. But thanks very much for your time. Bye-bye.